Hey everybody, we're going to talk a bit today about the FAQ that came out. You might have already seen it, but we thought we'd explain it a bit, give our thoughts on it, and talk about some things we might have liked to have seen. And but first we'll talk about our fun weekend we had, eh?
Yeah, and honestly, this is YouTube, so it's just like opinions.
Yeah.
There's no one else has ever put an opinion on YouTube, so we thought we would try
the first one. We're breaking new ground.
Yeah, we were pretty excited when Andrew was like, "We should put our opinions." I was like, "No one's ever done that on the internet."
I know.
So
they're correct though. So don't fact check, don't opinion check any of it.
Talking about the FAQ, it'll be exciting. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then I think we're going to talk about kind of our wish list for an FAQ. I think that'd be kind of fun. Maybe just things we'd like to see. Some of it's pipe dreams. We're just thinking out loud here. We're just rapping and riffing.
We are. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think we'll talk a little bit too just about the channel for a few minutes, maybe what lists you can expect to see and kind of what we're working on. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Shall we take it away?
Yeah.
All right. Where do you want to start? Weekend or FAQ?
FAQ.
Okay. Dude, really?
Weekend.
FAQ.
FAQ brute.
FAQ brute. Yeah. Nice. That was really good.
No, I was just calling you a brute.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. You're very strong.
Okay. FAQ.
FAQ.
Two things to talk about, really. Yep. Right? The first one, Dragon Emperor, 30 points.
Yep.
That was I directionally agree with it.
Yep.
But I am just like, it feels like a boring thing. If we're saying he needs corrected, I feel like you could have done that without a points change. I'm generally, I will just say, not opposed to points changes. I actually really liked that when we played Legion a lot. Mm-hmm. I liked the balance changes. It maybe was too much. So I don't mind a points change, but I don't know. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, just 30 points more.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's complaint is the Legendary Legion was the problem, not the model. So now the Easterlings are even, he's even less useful in that.
Yeah.
But I'm also, here's hot take number one. I don't care if they nerf the Dragon Emperor to the ground. I don't care to see him on the table. I want to see the stuff that I recognize and care about.
I always feel that way too. Like
I know a lot of people bought the model, and of course they want.
Of course.
And I think that might be why they didn't take away things, because, you buy something, you like the cool things it does, and then you take one of them away. It's like,
but it just always makes me cynical. It makes me a little cynical. I got to be honest that Games Workshop and other game companies like, hey, that guy you never even heard of?
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And so everyone rushes out to buy this Forge World model. And you're like, okay, but if you're playing a game of Lord of the Rings and someone's like, who's that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, going to get into our opinions.
Yeah, I was going to say, that
we want to see like
later
Gandalf and Sauron be good.
Yeah.
Not the Dragon Emperor.
Yeah. So the more cuts, the better. The more nerfs, the better. But I also appreciate that it was kind of a light-handed nerf, which I think is the smart way to do it.
It was a good play.
Nerf it a little bit, see how it does, and then nerf it again later. You don't want to obliterate anything, because there's no reason to.
Which is kind of what they did with Assault on Lothlorien and the Bears in the last FAQ. They just minorly tweaked them.
Yeah.
They got, objectively a little bit worse, but not nerfed into oblivion. And I think they're both still great. Yeah. And so I do like the subtle see what happens, because the game is in a really good state. Yeah. So you don't want to have pendulums swinging all over the place, even though that can also be kind of fun.
That is fun. I mean, I look forward to Legion points Day a lot. That was fun.
And be like, oh my God, all of a sudden snow speeders are great. Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. But that's not what they've chosen to do with this game. It is a very stable, system that overall works pretty well.
Yeah.
Anything else to add there before we'll circle back to the things we wish we had seen, which of course is a pipe dream.
Yeah. Is there something you wish they had done to the Dragon Emperor instead of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, to me, I think the proliferation of Fight 5 is just really bad for the game overall. It feels like every other fight upgrade is not even worth it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wish they had been like, you know what, you don't get Fight 5 because you're already a banner that's 12 inches, maybe a courage thing. I don't know. I think the +1 fight buff felt special for Boromir.
Yeah.
And now the Dragon Emperor does the same thing, but has a bigger base, so it's even easier. I don't know. That to me is the thing that I'm like, okay, so you're a Fight 5 pike block.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to trap themselves. You don't have to all the other pikes in the game. What the Easterlings just know how to fight with pikes better than Men of Dol Amroth and Uruks. I mean, Uruks are newborns. They just came out of the birthing pit, so I'm okay with that one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That to me, I wish, and I get too that probably taking that away would have completely wrecked the Easterlings.
Yeah.
It is clear that the Dragon Emperor came out to address a faction. They were like, the Easterlings suck. Nobody likes them. So the Dragon Emperor kind of fixes their problems. But it's also like he just rewrote all the rules for the stuff. And I don't know. Yeah. The Fight 5 to me is the most egregious thing.
Yeah.
What about you? What were you thinking?
I think a lot of people, and I would agree, if the goal is to nerf the Legendary Legion and keep them good, take away the free Black Dragon upgrades.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that probably has less of an effect than the 30 extra points.
Yeah, because it's only a 1-point upgrade, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pair that maybe with a... But like I said, I don't care that he's bad in Easterlings now. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I kind of don't care.
He can be bad in everything. Sorry if you bought him.
Yeah. It is, I mean, it is a cool model.
It is cool looking.
And I will say, in fairness, a lot of his rules are really neat.
Yeah.
I love that he's got the dudes carrying the palanquin, and they can then be like, all right, we're dropping this thing.
Yeah.
It's a cool, fundamentally model. But it does feel like design soup, where they're like, but what if also this?
Yeah.
Oh, but what if also this? But what if also
yeah.
this? And you're like, okay, he has everything. So
I don't think I'd be salty about him at all if there weren't these neglected, iconic heroes in the game, which it's a later topic.
Which are collecting dust on people's shelves. Yeah. So overall, good change. Yeah. And especially at lower points, I think that is where he was most egregious. It kind of, at 800 points, it's like you're losing 3 models, probably between 5 and 10% army reduction, which is not massive, but could be just that little nudge, which again, I do appreciate a subtle hand. Mm-hmm. If they're trying for a stable system and don't want to do the swinginess of Legion, I appreciate the subtle, let's see what happens, subtle change, let's see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
The other big thing.
Yeah.
How fights get paired off.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been, and even in our game tonight that we played, that I think you'll see the bat rep for that next week. I was looking for opportunities to apply it, and never once did it even come up.
Yeah.
So I do think it's kind of just a little bit of a clarification. For those of you that don't know, you want to explain what the clarification is?
Yeah. So previously, well, essentially now, I guess the easy thing to say is, as long as everything is in a fight that was engaged, you haven't broken any rules, essentially.
Yeah.
But before you could, people thought that you had to kind of pair things off in single fights as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, that's basically it, And what's the blog that has the really good breakdown? We're not going to try to go into it. Oh, the name is escaping me. Oh gosh, I look at it all the time. I've read
I'll probably
tons
get
of stuff.
It wrong. Is it Tell Me a Tale?
Yeah, Tell Me a Tale, Great or Small.
Yeah.
Yes. We're not even going to go into the nuts and bolts of it because it's better to look at a diagram.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the description. Check out the Tell Me a Tale, Great or Small article on it because you'll understand kind of the implications of it. But it basically does mean having priority. Gives you a little bit more leeway in how fights go. And, there's this concept in MESBG that maybe you're familiar with. It's like peeling someone off. Like, I'm going to send one guy to peel that thing off. That's a lot harder to do now if you don't have priority.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, we won't go into the nuts and bolts of it, but essentially it's just how fights are paired. Like Andrew said, previously I think you try to go like the most atomic that you could.
Yeah.
And now you don't really have to do that so long as everyone who could have fought does fight.
Yeah.
It is a big-ish change. Again, I was looking for opportunities in our whole game for that to be different than what we've normally done, and there never was one.
I don't think it comes up a lot, but I'm sure it will, and maybe next time it comes up in a bat rep, we'll point it out and say, hey, this used to not be something
That's
you could
a good
do.
point.
So.
Yeah, that'd be cool to do. So those are the big changes. I don't even remember any of the other. There were just little clarifications.
They clarified that one thing about control zones, which I think the dust had settled on that. We kind of knew the answer, but
that's good. Well, because I've had that come up in a game at a tournament that it got pretty heated, and there was a ruling, I guess, at Nova Open that said the other way. So it is a good clarification. I think most of the community had never even interpreted it that way. So
and it involved when you just, I'm sure you've all read it, but involved if you start within something's control zone, the rules about whether or not you can charge something else because and you can.
Yeah, you can. Essentially. Yeah. That's it. I mean, it was a pretty minor FAQ, which I'm okay with, but let's talk about our wish list. What would you have loved to see? Now, we're getting into full-blown opinion territory here, so, A, we would love to hear what you think in the comments. That would be awesome. B, this is just two guys sharing their opinions on the internet, a thing that's never been done before. Yeah. So,
well, first of all, I guess I think you and I disagree on this a little bit. A lot of people wanted to slow down the nerf.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that he's a little too efficient, so 10 more points, fine. He's not the he's not at the top of my list of things to nerf, but it's like, if you're like, well, should he be? My opinion is yes, kind of.
Yeah.
A lot of people expected one, so what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely, of course, see the argument. I also think that's been a bigger thing in the UK, which they play a lot more, so that probably is a good indicator. Yeah. Here, I'm like, we're not seeing that.
Not seeing him, but we're
not seeing it.
For me, you do the math on him, and like 100 points for a 6-inch banner, like compare him to the not Dark Marshal. Who's the
Dark Marshal spins a wheel to have the 6-inch warrior only banner?
Oh no, I'm thinking of it's kind of like a Mortal Knight captain kind of thing. Oh, what is his name?
I know who you're talking about. The Numenorian Marshal. Isn't he Black Numenorian Marshal?
Yeah. And it's like you pay another 35 points and you get a 6-inch banner, another attack, another wound, another almost everything better.
There's other things. Less defense, no lance. So I'm with you. He does seem a little undercosted. It just to me is like it's not the most egregious.
I would never bring it up unless other people were already bringing it up. If someone was like, it wouldn't be on my wish list. It's just like people were talking about it, so like,
It's also that's one of those things that kind of circles back to what we were talking about the Easterlings. Like if you nerf him, Harad is even worse.
Yep.
Like Harad on its own, not great. Yeah. It's a cool combo, him and the Witch King, which that is what people are talking about, is him and the Witch King, which is funny because we both play the Witch King all the time. And I also feel like he's perfectly costed. If he was more, then I'm like, I don't know. What I think they messed up is all of the other named wraiths are horrible. Like they're not really, other than for funsies and like maybe some utility things. They're not that good.
Yep.
And so there's not like, of the bulk of spellcasters available to Mordor, there's like one that's like actually pretty good. And then, the Mouth is probably good for his points. But the Witch King just, to me, feels, I hope he doesn't see any changes. He feels just
I think he's a good baseline. I guess that this whole conversation about what should be nerfed and what should be buffed is like, what do we think is the right?
Yeah.
What is the goal? And to me, the goal is probably something like the Witch King.
Yeah.
Or, maybe Minas Tirith or something is like, they do okay, but they're not.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. I'm with you. But yeah, Suladon is definitely good for what you pay for him. Yeah. He's, but I don't think it'd be a huge, like 10 points.
10 points.
Okay, sure,
that's
whatever.
Fine with me.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yep.
Thank you for coming. So that was one I think people were expecting to see and didn't. But I am going to keep an eye on that because we have Suladon. I've played him and he does feel like, he's really good. Yeah. He slots right into that Mordor army like it's pretty nice. Yep. But yeah, it also doesn't feel over the top. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Not the worst defender in the game, but
all right. Here's I was thinking of who like my top choices would be for what I'd love to see be better.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about what I want to see get worse. There's not a lot that I'm like that's too broken. I just want to see things get better. We're gonna agree on the first one, of course. It's Gandalf the White.
Yep.
He's just like he's so close to being good.
He is.
And you'll have games where you're like, he's really good, but he is not efficient and optimal for the points, I don't think.
Yeah, he covers so many things.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but you're only going to see one of those in a game, so 100 of his points are wasted, arguably.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's another one where you could go subtle.
Yeah.
You could go really subtle. Give him. There's two things that I think we've discussed. Number one, give him the reroll the way Saruman has, which actually would be kind of thematic because he's like, no, now I'm Saruman as he should have been. Yeah. That's the movie quote. Yeah. I'm now Gandalf the White, so he's the Lord of the Astari now. Yeah. He should have the reroll as well. I think it's maybe not enough, but that right there would move the needle really far.
Yep.
Because his casting sucks for how expensive he is. The fact not having a reroll,
it's rough. Yeah.
It's really rough. Yep. It's awful. And the second thing I'm going to say, which I would love to have a whole video on this where we designed something like this. I think he could get the Easterlings treatment and have a Legendary Legion.
Yeah.
Like the Defense of Minas Tirith, where he just gets some buffs, but there's list building restrictions. So he has like walls.
Yeah.
Because I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about what those things could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so I'll say I want both, definitely. I really don't want them to, force him into a faction that, an army that builds itself, and it's like, well, cool, now all the fun combos aren't there anymore.
Yeah,
because I want to use him, and I want to pepper him into things that are fun, and because, he's...
Riders of Aomer.
Yeah, great.
Shout out to better Gallagher boys.
Yeah. But, other fun ideas. I think we talked about him having some kind of inspiring banner effect, especially in a Legendary
Right.
Legion like that, where he's riding around rallying
Right.
everybody. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not give him a banner effect? That's
Yeah.
tight. People look to him for hope.
At least in a
rallies
Legendary
them.
Legion. Yeah.
Yeah, even in regular, that'd
yeah.
be fine.
Boromir might lose his place. Nah.
Yeah, yeah. And that I do think is actually the chief thing, is like, you can't have both, which makes sense, you shouldn't. But like, for the points, I'm just like, 9 times out of 10, I would rather have Boromir.
Yeah.
They're very close in points.
Yep.
So yeah, I would love to see Gandalf better. What's one for you? You go.
I think another, speaking of people who are banners and Minas Tirith, I think Aragorn King, I wouldn't mind a little drop. I think people probably take him more than they take Gandalf the White, or at least view him as a little bit more competitive, but
I still think he's generally left.
the existence of Boromir, who isn't overpowered,
Right.
which tells you these other two could get...
Yeah. I think
some love.
Boromir is another example of like, he's really
just right.
good.
He's great.
But he's 220 points, I think, with the banner
Something
and
like
horse.
that, yeah.
Something like that. He's great.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone's out there like, he's too good.
No.
Nor is anyone out there like, man, I wish Boromir was
Right.
better. Just right.
Yeah.
He's great.
But he's a no-brainer compared to Gandalf and
compared to
Aragorn.
those,
So
yes.
there's a problem, and that problem is that Gandalf and Aragorn aren't quite where
right.
they need to be.
That's right. Yeah.
I think in this game, the differences are like, if you waste 20 to 30 points, you can still win. You can do fine. So you can take Aragorn and you can do okay. You can take Gandalf and you can do okay. We're not saying you can't.
Sure. Yeah.
But give them a little help.
Yeah. And especially the more competitive, the more you're trying to squeeze out every efficiency you can.
Yeah.
Play with the models. They're great. They're cool. And
Yep.
you're not seeing them in the competitive scene for a reason. Okay, my next one is actually very similar. Sauron sucks.
Yeah.
Sauron sucks in this game.
Yeah.
He just does. He can kill a lot of hobbits,
Yeah.
as we've seen from Conquest Creations videos. And he's close. I think it's partially Barad-dûr itself, having a really boring army bonus.
Yeah.
That's just like abjectly worse than Mordor. And I just think Sauron is like, it's really hard for games to get the big bads right.
Yeah.
Like, it's so rare that you see Darth Vader in any video game or any tabletop game just right.
Yeah.
I think the same is true of Sauron. He needs to be amazing. He needs to be 400 points. He needs something else.
Yeah. I bet they don't want to risk him turning into one of those other banned units that are just too big and unfun to play against. Which, I mean, they could, incremental, small changes, I don't know, get him there. He's not competitive. There's so many things that are like clearly not competitive right now. So, and that's where I think we feel the same way. That's what points adjustments are so good for.
Right.
You know exactly what you're doing. Like, there aren't unforeseen consequences of subtracting 20 points from something. It's like, well, this is a little change we can make to let you eke out more.
Right.
And nothing weird's going to happen.
Yep. And I gotta say, it was something I really missed moving to this game from Legion. Because it was like twice a year, right? Like twice a year, all bets are off.
Yep.
And, you can do a very data-driven approach where you can track, there's tons of data out there, Longshanks and others for this game, where you can track what things are doing well and sort of adjust them as you go. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it'd be really cool. It's not going to happen in this game, and I think that's okay, too.
Yeah.
This game is very clear, like, we're going to be really stable and do these subtle. But I do kind of wish... Like, how tight would it be to be like, hey, all of a sudden Sauron's 300 points. Okay, everyone's going to give him a shot again. Yeah. I actually still think he would be bad at 300 points. I don't think he's worth it at 300. I think he's that overcosted. Yeah. But close. Much closer at 300. Anyways. All right, what else you got? Anything else that you wish you had seen?
Another one that I definitely don't expect, but Faramir. I mean, we just watched all the movies, so, I mean, I just wish Faramir was a little more competitive.
Yeah.
I think... Huron is just the same cost and better.
Oh, yeah. You just take Huron over Faramir.
I mean, the only way you're taking Faramir is if you already took Huron and you need another hero. Yeah. Maybe you consider it. But
or you're really doing an Osgiliath Vets thing with him, but that's it. Yeah. He's... I know there are disagreements. Some people like him, but I just think it is cool that you can build him so many different ways, but he just falls short. He needs like one more special rule.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's it. Just one little special rule. Yeah. I don't know what. We'll have to think about it, but he's it's disappointing. Because Faramir's great. Yeah. Especially in the books. He's such a great character.
And really, so many of the Fellowship characters don't show up in like
in the competitive
scene at all. I don't know.
Not really. You sometimes see Legolas, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And,
like
and
Legolas,
Aragorn's probably the one you see. Or Boromir.
Boromir. Yeah.
Fellowship Boromir is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But, I mean, on the other hand, most of the movies, they're not showing up fighting in armies. So.
Sure. Yep.
So it's cool. I mean, Breaking of the Fellowship, they're good in that.
Yeah,
so.
and Breaking the Fellowship is okay. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've talked it to death. We could talk about this for hours. So
Yeah.
please let us know if you enjoy that or if you're like, I've actually seen people talking about their opinions on the air. We haven't seen that before.
We just thought we'd break new ground.
Yeah, but let us know.
Maybe we'll start like a trend, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could almost like record you talking about it. It'd be like little pod recordings, and you could like broadcast them.
Yeah, pod, like cast
Yeah.
Oh, cast pods.
Cast
yeah,
pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be an idea. I don't think that's a thing.
That's what Gandalf rolls around in.
Yeah. What?
He casts in a pod. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So it's late. You're tired. You need to go.
No, I'm not. This is me at my
home.
best.
I'm at my peak. Okay, really quickly, let's talk about some fun stuff if
Yeah.
people are interested. Otherwise, you can just dip now. We're not going to do a lot more MESPG chat, just a few. Just one or two things. Over the weekend, we went to a house on the river, and we watched all of the Lord of the Rings extended editions, and my wife cooked like every meal that came up. It was incredible.
It was awesome. Yeah.
It was so good. We'll post some pictures, but it was, she made like the weathertop thing with all the sausages and bacon and made lembas bread, which was pretty good. I liked it. I loved it. The lembas bread was awesome. You want to take that hiking and backpack because it was hearty.
Yeah.
That was like a tack, but it was delicious. Cake. Oh my God.
We had some tomatoes.
We had some tomatoes. Yeah. We made a mess with the tomatoes.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Dude, it's the sound in that scene. Like, it's already gross enough, but the sound. He's like...
I like how he thinks a cherry tomato is a two-biter. Like, you couldn't handle that whole thing. The rest of your food you're shoveling in your mouth, but this one you're like, you know what?
I'm gonna
take my time.
I'll just do half of that. Why did you do that? What else did we have? Becca made so much food.
Some chicken from that meal.
Chicken from that meal. Oh, a stew.
We had a stew,
for when they caught the brace of conies, but we didn't do rabbit stew.
But it had taters in it.
It had taters. You gotta have taters.
Yep.
Anyways, it was incredible, and it was really fun to rewatch the movies. I'm sure most of you have watched them, a million times too. But I've read the books now, just like a couple months ago, then watched the movies again this time. And man, they're so good.
So good, yeah.
They're just so good.
Even our wives had to admit.
That's right. Yeah, because they were kind of troopers. They were kind of sticking it out to hang, but there were some tears. There were some tears shed.
Oh yeah.
When you bow to no one, ain't no dry eye.
Every time,
Ain't no dry eye. All right, let's wrap this episode up really quickly. What are we looking forward to playing next?
Well, in the future, we will have played, and also we have just played.
Don't share the magic behind the camera.
Next week, I think we're going to play some Theodred's Guard and some Rivendell.
Yep.
Might see an eagle on the board.
Might see an eagle. That'll be cool. What have we not done a lot of? I mean, we have a pretty good amount of stuff, but I think at this point, all of our armies have been at least represented on the channel.
I think so. Well, other than Sauron and company.
Okay, I'll do it. Let's just play them as 300 points, though. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay?
We should do our own errata game. That'd be fun.
Let's try it. I'd like that. But the next thing that we've bought into is Moria goblins. So I need to hurry up and get those painted. I've been painting D&D figures, but that's a lot of goblins to paint. But
we'll get take you a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. What next? What's the army you want to do next? If you had to pick right now, what would be the next army we had?
I mean, despite the trash we just talked, I do want to play Gandalf the White again.
No, a new army that we don't have.
New army.
You should play Gandalf next.
I'm definitely feeling fiefdoms would be cool.
Yeah.
And Thranduil's Hall is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Thranduil's Hall is my next one, too. I'd really love to do that, so you probably expect to see them in a couple of months.
Yeah.
But I've been working on a bunch of terrain. I want to do some of the scenarios from the book. I'm working on Amon Hin, the Seed of Seeing, and then I just finished printing Balin's Tomb, so stay tuned for that. That'll be a fun little diversion from our normally competitive batreps.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. I think it's time to wrap it up. Hey, thanks everyone. That was fun.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here. As always, like and subscribe if you have not. And if you have, thank you. It means the world to us.
It does.
See y'all next time.
See ya.
keep waving.
Okay.
Okay.